thankfully found someone.
Well, that's good. Glad you found somebody because that would just been super irritating.
So when my friend said, "Oh, Paulo ruins everything," so well, at least he's cute though.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. At least he is cute. Yeah, he's a cute dog. So if you didn't have a cute dog, it'd be 10 times harder.
Exactly. But speaking of things that are cute, did you see the video of Dwayne Wade just going absolutely nuts over the championship ring for Summer League?
No, I didn't. I did not see Dwayne Wade losing his mind on the championship ring from Summer League. I didn't see that at all.
You think like he's got enough that he can go admire his own championship rings, but like he was really wowed by the ring representation, I guess, at Summer League.
Just really digging it, huh? He felt like that was the move.
I guess when you start being a part owner, you take more note of things like that.
I guess so. I'm not a part owner of anything, so I guess I have no opinion on the appearance of rings. So that would not be my field of expertise. Yeah, got one ring in my life, and that was from the 8th grade conference championship I won in junior high football. So that was boom right there. That's my one championship. They didn't give us rings. Are you kidding me? Like we got T-shirts.
I thought you were about to say your wedding. The ring you got on your wedding day was the one ring you got.
Yeah, that's true. That is the one ring that I do have. I got the receipts on that one. So,
there you go.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's Summer League. Yeah, it's finally wrapping up, and it's been a good time. Welcome to the Hoop Southbound Show. My name is David.
Hey guys, it's Maddie.
And I don't know why I just took the reins there. This is Maddie's show, and it's her final show producing this week. She is, of course, she's giving me a break and giving me a chance to do some writing and things ready for next season. So I greatly appreciate her taking over the show for 3 weeks and allowing me just to come and talk basketball on her show. So, Maddie, it's your show, so let's talk some Summer League.
Yeah, let's talk Summer League. We're recording this on Monday night, the 17th. So as we speak, probably as we wrap up today, we'll probably be eclipsing the Summer League championship with the Rockets and the Cavaliers.
Yeah, it's Rockets were really good. Of course, Jabari Smith Jr. was excellent this season or this Summer League. And then getting Cleveland out there. It's been a fun Summer League. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good chances to see a lot of these young teams, young players playing. To me, that's more important than the championship ring in this. 100% is a chance to see these rookies and see these free agents get a chance to make the league. But it's always nice putting up some hardware if you are in that summer championship league. So best of luck to Jabari Smith Jr. Hopefully he can get a ring for Auburn in that situation, or get something for Auburn fans to be pumped up about his pro career. So that's exciting for them. But like I said, my biggest thing has been like the rookies and paying attention to them.
Yeah, for sure. But Auburn could walk away with the ring on either side. We've got
it's true.
Our players to watch here for the Rockets and the Cavaliers, for everyone that's an SEC fan listening. We've got Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason on the Rockets. And then over on the Cavaliers side, Wendell Green Jr. has been putting in some time.
That's very true. I totally forgot Wendell Green's over there on the Cavs here in Summer League. So yeah, Auburn's got a chance tonight on both sides to win. They might as well already be dusted off. It's like pro Tiger, pro War Eagle, whatever however they phrase that, getting themselves a championship ring. So that's big news for the school. And that's really great. And just, again, one of those things to show, for Bruce Pearl as a recruiting point. Best of luck to the SEC players tonight, and hope they have strong appearances here as summer league starts wrapping itself up.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that some of our other SEC talent we've been watching, their summer league has ended, but I did wrap up some game highlights, at least from this past weekend. I know we've kind of been talking about them throughout the show. So just kind of going over their last few games, looking at Cason Wallace had 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals yesterday. So starting to rack up some credibility there with that.
Yeah, I thought Case and Wallace throughout the entire course of the summer league tournament have he showed a lot of his skills, showed a lot of his versatility. He's shown that he is not just a 19-year-old basketball player. He's someone who can play well above his years. He's got a lot of maturity out there in court. He's got some leadership skills. He also showed a lot of the things that he does well on the basketball court. On top of that, he cut extremely well. He relocated himself on the ball at different times, and he freed himself up constantly through the course of this league. And he really showed that this is why I'm a lottery pick, and he's making some noise. And Thunder fans should be really excited about the guy they're getting out of this deal coming out of Kentucky. So Casey Wallace had a fantastic showing at Summer League. I was very impressed with Casey Wallace throughout the summer.
Yeah, definitely. I think, some things that we were able to see in the summer league that we didn't see a whole lot when it came to Kentucky. Part of this is due to experience, but his court vision and basketball IQ, I think, has definitely improved since we saw him early last season, and even since the end of Kentucky's season, just making some major improvements. And that may just be working out with some elders when it comes to the NBA, or just having time to improve after he got out of school.
Yeah, and to me, like summer league is almost like boot camp, right? You've got yourself out there, you've got a very short windows to practice with these guys, and they're being put on the court with veteran leadership. It's a very fast growing curve throughout summer league to make your name known. And Casey Wallace was up to the challenge, and that was something I thought he did exceptionally well. He improved in just that short turnaround from college to summer league. So I'm very excited to see where he's going next here in this in his pro career, because I think the Thunder got something here, and I'm very impressed with the Thunder and the way they've been drafting, picking players out. So it doesn't surprise me that they didn't or don't seem to be missing on Case and Wallace right now. And it'll be very interesting to see where he is 3 years down the line on the Thunder, because he could be very much an integral part of this team in the years to come.
Yeah, for sure. If something ends up happening to SGA, I think he's kind of their point franchise player right now, but I could see Case Wallace filling a very similar role there.
Absolutely.
We talked a little bit about Auburn getting into our NBA Summer League talk, but at the other side of Alabama, I feel like Charles Bediako had his best game yet. 17 points and 11 rebounds. Dude went crazy.
Yeah, when Wembanyama stepped out, it was Charles Bediako's time to shine there for the Spurs, and he did not let that opportunity pass. Anytime that you're out there grabbing boards, putting points up, and being extremely athletic, Summer League plays a lot on your athleticism and your ability to be an athlete. And Charles Bediako got out there and showed that he's not just a big man, he's an athlete, and put up a ton of points, really helped in the Spurs in that basketball game. Charles Bediako's been a good pickup as far as free agency goes. So it would not surprise me, for San Antonio to put him in the G League next year, watch him develop a little bit before he gets called up and he starts playing with Pop. But, we'll see how that goes in the future. But he definitely made himself known a little bit to the organization and showed a little bit of his ability, because 17 points is nothing to turn your nose up to. So really, really good showing from Chuck. And I think Alabama fans should be proud of him in that given situation. Do I still think he should have came back to college 100%? But overall, I think things worked out pretty well in that game. So I'm impressed with Charles Bediako. I think he had a good showing, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm going to talk about Brandon Miller real fast as we're on the topic of Alabama. And then I'll throw a little bit of Noah Clowney in there if you want. With Brandon Miller, I thought through the course of Summer League, he showed a lot of his potential off. And I think that was explosive, great. He showed his potential as a playmaker, which is something that we've always talked about, him being a point forward. Back when we were doing the draft profiles, when Brandon Miller came out, we talked about him being a point forward. And I think that's going to be something great that the Hornets are going to have, because now they're going to have three playmakers on that team easily between Nick Smith Jr., LaMelo Ball, and Brandon Miller out there. You got guys that if you get them on the rotation and develop these guys, you're going to have a good squad of guys who are going to be racking up assists the entire time out there for the Hornets. And then, also for Noah Clowney, it's been kind of a letdown for Summer League, but don't let that change the perception on Noah Clowney. He's still a very talented big. He's still going to have a future in the NBA. Yeah, he didn't really just explode all over the place during Summer League, but overall, it's still a learning curve. He's got some developing to do. The G League's likely in his future, so just give him a little bit of time, and I'm sure he'll show you what he can do going into the next couple, the next year. He'll probably develop quite a bit in the G League, and then we'll see him very soon in the NBA, I think, personally. But yeah, don't let the lackluster performance or the, very quiet, I should say, it shouldn't be considered lackluster. It was just quiet, straight up quiet, kind of just not what people were expecting from the free field goal. That's what I was trying to get the word out of my mouth from the field goal pursuit.
One of those things that starts with an F.
Do what?
One of those things that starts with an F.
Yeah, one of those things that start with an F. Exactly. But yeah, no, don't let the field goal percentage and the issues that he's had in games throw you off from the fact that he's still a very talented big man, and I think he's definitely got a future in the league. So those are my raps on the Alabama players. But yeah, it's been a good summer league for Alabama.
Yeah, I think with Noah Clowney, I could see him being similar to Jabari Smith Jr. Whereas, we saw him, I don't want to say like plateau last year in summer league, but he just didn't do what everyone thought he was going to. And then this year, obviously, he's come out full force. So I think, it takes some time to develop, and Noah Clowney will be right there with him.
Absolutely. It's a learning curve, man. Like you're asking 19-year-old kids to step on a basketball court and play with grown men. Like,
yeah.
I don't know about you, but like if I was a sixth grader going to go play, 11th grade basketball, I'm not ready for that. Like, to put in our children perspective, I haven't developed enough. I'm not there on the floor. It's a huge learning curve. Can you get there? Absolutely. But it takes some time. It takes some development. So like just give Noah Clowney his time, let him develop. And, the jury's still well out on anybody, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah, I feel like, so I was explaining to somebody the other day, I feel like, your ninth grade basketball is your college basketball in this situation. And then you have junior varsity, which I would say is summer league or the G League. And then you get to move up to NBA and play varsity ball.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, yeah, for anybody who's not played the higher levels, 100%, that would be the closest thing to talk about. You've got outliers who can jump immediately. Think about Pistol Pete, like he played varsity ball in the 8th grade. But it's exactly there. You got guys who are prodigies and get it immediately and are NBA ready right then and there. But you got guys who need a little bit of time to develop, and that's where I think Noah Clowney's at. But yeah, that was my take on Noah Clowney. But I think again though, the Alabama player that really came out and impressed was Brandon Miller throughout the course of this thing. He looks league ready right now.
Yeah. So next kind of big highlight over the weekend, Colin Castleton had 13 points with 14 rebounds and 6 assists. I mean, honestly, he has probably surprised me the most of the guys who didn't get drafted, who were picked up either with a 2-way contract or in free agency. And he's, just been out there dominating, really coming back strong from that injury that he had that ended his career really at Florida. So, big ups to him over at the Lakers.
Yeah, Colin Castleton, again, just because you don't get drafted as a big man does not mean you're not talented. Doesn't mean that you can't be a pro. Like it's just a position that doesn't get the respect it deserves. I feel like a broken record every week saying that about centers, talking about centers this way. But it's just flat out the truth. Colin Castleton has the ability to go play at this level. So I'm not shocked that Colin Castleton, what we've seen from the course of elite camp to now, that Colin Castleton has done what he's done and looks like somebody who should be playing in the NBA.
Yeah. And then another one that kind of snuck in there a little silently, D'Moy Hodge, 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals, showing out for the Mizzou alum.
Yeah, it was the final game, right? He finally got a chance to make his noise there for the Lakers, and D'Moy Hodge did extremely well. I was impressed, given that, he gets this chance to come out there and show what he's got, because no one's really been talking about D'Moy Hodge throughout the course of Summer League until his final game. And now he's shown a little bit about who he is and that he can play at this level. So I'm looking forward to what the Lakers are going to do with D'Moy Hodge going forward, because regardless, if the Lakers were to cut him, or something down at this point later, or whatever they decide to do, someone else is going to grab him. So we'll see what it goes through the course of the G League and his development, but like one way or the other, Demoy Hodge is going to find himself on a roster.
Another Mizzou Tiger we got to talk about, Kobe Brown. 35 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals. Like, we knew this kid was good going out of this season, but, you know, I kind of figured he would taper off a little bit when he got to the NBA, but obviously he proved me wrong.
Yeah, it's been really good. He's shown a lot of his star power for the Clippers. He had that 35-point performance that you just talked about. It's been good. It's been really good, and it's showing that, you know, in a lot of ways that the Clippers didn't miss with Kobe Brown. So I'm really liking what we saw. I think that Kobe Brown is more than capable of playing at the NBA. I think there's going to be a development period. Don't get me wrong. He's going to play in the G League more than likely for a brief amount of time. But Kobe Brown showed what he has. He showed his ability, and he's been good throughout the course of Summer League. At one point, I believe he was averaging like 12, 13 points a game or something like that. That's similar to what Nick Smith Jr. and Brandon Miller were averaging. You know, he's playing extremely well. He's rebounding well. He's also shooting the ball extremely well at a high percentage. These are all things you like if you're sitting there trying to figure out how to develop your guys. So Kobe Brown definitely has impressed throughout the course of Summer League.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, you get him under Kawhi's wing and he'll be killing it in no time.
It'll be fun to watch. It'll be a ton of fun to watch. You know, it'll be great out there in the Los Angeles area. And, you know, considering they don't have NBA basketball in Missouri, you know, they'll be tuning in and watching that when the Chiefs season comes to an end. Maybe Kobe will be out there for him. You probably got some Laker fans now, or not Lakers, Clipper fans now out in KC checking things out. So it's good times right now for Kobe Brown. He's doing well.
Yeah, for sure. Rolling into the last one that I have on my list. If there's anybody else that you want to talk about, feel free. I've got Chris Livingston had 22 points and 5 rebounds in his last game of Summer League.
Yeah, it's solid. Again, we talked about this. Kentucky has just turned into an NBA mill. Chris Livingston is a continued example of that. We talked about Casey Wallace at the beginning of this. Chris Livingston is getting the job done as well. I'm still waiting to see more from Chris Livingston. You know, you just don't turn into a sensation overnight. But I'm waiting to see a little bit more from Chris Livingston. I think we'll see it. During his G League time, we'll probably get some impressions on exactly the type of player he's wanting to be. But he's done fine over the course of Summer League, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next with him. But you know, I'm hesitant. You know, he was always in my mind someone who was going to go undrafted and late in the second round if he was drafted to begin with. He pretty much followed fold there. So we'll see if that trend continues throughout the course of his career. But it was not a bad showing in Summer League.
You know, keeping on the Kentucky train, we got a little bit of Kentucky news to talk about, David.
Yes, we do. We do have some Kentucky news to talk about. I'm just going to say this right now. Winning gold always feels good. I don't care what type of tournament you're playing in. It always feels good to win gold. And it's got to feel great to go partying with Drake. And I think we'll talk about that after the commercial break.
All right, so I'm a baseball guy, and my goal is to actually see a game in every Major League Baseball stadium. Now, I'm more than a third of the way there, and I never buy from the team's websites. SeatGeek is my first stop whenever I'm heading to a new city for a ball game. Now, obviously, they've got some other sports, as well as concert tickets, Broadway, comedy, I mean, you name it. And now, for BSN listeners, they're actually offering you $20 off your first ticket purchase. So just use the code BSN, that stands for Variety Sports Network. So that's BSN to save $20. So put that to use for some food or for some drinks at whatever event you are wanting to attend. Again, that code is BSN to save $20 on your first SeatGeek purchase.
As always, go out, support our sponsors, support us. As David always likes to say, we like cable. We got to have it to watch basketball so we can talk about these things with you guys. So
YouTube TV, baby. Got to get that YouTube TV. Got to pay those bills. That's $70 a month. Ain't going to pay itself. They just did a price bump last summer. So, like, I'm here for it. Like, please, by all means, support the sponsors, you know. Also, they give you some discounts, you know, like StubHub, you know. $20 off ain't a bad thing. So, just use the promo codes. Use those promo codes and give us a hand. Of course, I will be reading the next ad read since we got a new sponsor that we'll be talking about at the end of the show before we're talking about Zeigler. So, but we were talking about GLOBL Jam. So lead us off, Maddie. Let's hear this GLOBL Jam.
I mean, if you would have told me around the March Madness period or even a month or two after that Kentucky was about to go 4-0 against, top global teams, I probably would have laughed.
Considerably. I did not. Yo, go ahead, by all means.
I was gonna say, but as we've mentioned before, Cal's really turned this team around with a little bit of talent, a little bit of luck, and we're looking at a whole new Kentucky team.
I'm just saying, Cal and the crew partying with Drake, getting out there. You get a chance to upend the home team in a tournament in their own backyard. You're taking home gold. You gotta feel good if you're part of Big Blue Nation after what you just saw up there in Toronto. And you're probably listening to Big Rings right now by Drake. So it's probably a great thing they got going on. And you're probably asking yourself as Kentucky fans, can we win the SEC? Can we make the Elite Eight this year? How far is Kentucky going at this point? Because they played extremely well at the GLOBL Jam and probably surpassed a lot of expectations.
Oh, for sure. Now I'm just waiting on a bunch of the players to announce their NIL deal with OVO and be in a Drake music video. I think that's the next big announcement for Kentucky.
Absolutely. I heard the conspiracy theory that, since it was before the Canada game, that it was actually a move by Drake to try to get the Kentucky players tired out, worn out from the party and not ready to play Canada. Like Drake was out there, playing chestnut checkers. I heard that conspiracy theory. Honestly, though, I think it's just a great recruiting move by Cal. It's like, because Cal's not cool. He's Cal, but he's a legacy. And he's like, hey, look at this guy that I'm hanging out with. I'm hanging out with Drake. It's got to be somewhere out there in that category. It's like, look who I'm hanging out with. So it's some good recruiting moments out there hanging out with Drake. But, overall, I don't think you can be happier if you're part of Big Blue Nation from what you saw in these 4 days. I want to talk a little bit about what Kentucky did in this tournament. And I know you got some numbers and stuff built up, but they won 4 out of 5 games in Canada. That's 4 games in 5 days, not 4 out of 5 games. They won 4 games in 5 days. They just sat there, lined them up, and took every one of them and got the job done. Antonio Reeves won MVP after announcing that he's coming back. So that was just massive for Kentucky and getting him back. Trey Mitchell played well in this tournament. And then the thing I'm really, really happy with was the ball movement. They did an outstanding job. They made 103 total assists on 142 made field goals. They had an outstanding showing there in Summer League, or not in Summer League, but in the GLOBL Jam. We're talking about too many tournaments right now. But they got the job done. They played great as a team, won a bunch of games. But there's still a lot of good things going on for Cal to coach on throughout the course of the season. So they have not reached their potential yet. But it's good what we're seeing. Like I said, we're seeing the freshmen get the job done. We're seeing a lot of players get the job done. Kentucky looks decent right now, and it's impressive.
Yeah, for sure. I think to your point, obviously we are seeing a Kentucky team with the potential to be in that number 1 spot at the end of the season. And the GLOBL Jam just further proves that point. Like, we knew all this talent was coming in, freshmen, and near the end of the transfer portal and a little bit after, we were able to see some more senior talent come in as well to help kind of guide this team. So I think like you said, with Antonio Reeves coming back, the Trey Mitchell move, and all that freshman talent, we really started to see this team pull together. And right now, I think the sky's the limit for Kentucky.
Absolutely. The sky is 100% the limit. There's no doubt about that. I'm just flabbergasted about where we saw this team on decision day to where we're seeing them now. And they got to be on top of the world if you're in Big Blue Nation, because everything has gone right so far. Again, you said it last week and the week before, get Cal some lotto tickets, because he could probably be a billionaire the next time the Powerball hits over $1 billion, because like this has just been insanely impressive from what Kentucky's doing. Now, there's still a lot of things to do. There's still a lot of growth to do, because like one of the things I took away, and this is what I'm saying that Cal's probably excited about, is that they have things to work on. They kind of slid off on defense at times throughout the course of this tournament, especially in a lot of the second quarters. The Cats need some rim protection, which will probably get better when Aaron Bradshaw is back, because they did not have Aaron Bradshaw in this tournament. And they're probably going to need some help on the rebound end. Oscar Sheboy is clearly not there anymore, and they only beat Canada +1 on the rebounding end in that championship game. There's some concerns on the rebounding, but with these items, these are things to coach, get these kids better, improve the game. There's a lot of potential here for Kentucky.
Yeah, for sure. Just like you said, I got some stats here, kind of going over some major points. You'd mentioned Antonio Reeves coming away with the MVP. There's absolutely no wonder why, when you look at his average of his stats over those 4 games. 23 points per game, over 57% field goal shooting, over 56% 3-point shooting. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal on 28 minutes a game. So, a little under a point a minute. Fantastic for a college player. Along with Antonio Reeves, kind of being our leader on the floor and the MVP of the tournament, some of the new talent we had our eyes on. DJ Wagner, 14 points per game, 42% from the field, and over 33% from 3. Some of those numbers not as high as we usually see from Kentucky players, but again, they are true freshmen, not even freshmen yet technically, but they're on their way up.
There's so much excitement for what these young talents have done in Kentucky. That was a big portion of the talking throughout last season, is like, okay, maybe things don't work out well for us this year in Kentucky, but look at this recruiting class that's coming in. This recruiting class is very, very talented, and I think we saw all of that. You got DJ Wagner, as you said, 14 points a game. He was, I believe he was the leading scorer out of all the freshmen throughout the course of the GLOBL Jam, and DJ Wagner got the job done. It's begging a question right now: is DJ Wagner a superstar that's being made on this Kentucky team? He's got the pedigree, he's got the background, the family background there. He's got the coach right now with John Calipari, who's made superstars out of guys like Anthony Davis. DJ Wagner is looking great, as if he is going to be one of the top talents in this draft class. And then on the other side, you got Justin Edwards, who's kind of a curious case, very talented, knows what he's doing. Great talent out there. And he's already perceived as one of the top draft picks in the NBA draft next year. And there's even talk about him being our 1 draft pick. He didn't exactly look like it during GLOBL Jam, but he looked super talented and ready to play basketball. And a lot of things for Big Blue Nation to be hyped up about, because Justin Edwards is a good basketball player. And then you got the guys who kind of had question marks around them, like Robert Dillingham. Robert Dillingham did great as far as what we saw, and he looks like he's going to be a potential 6th man on this Kentucky team. So there's a lot to like. There's a lot to really get behind with these Kentucky freshmen. We're getting some questions answered right now for who this Kentucky team is going to be going into this next season. And I think that was one of the best things that we saw out of GLOBL Jam from this freshman class. But of course, we haven't talked about the guy that shocked the world out of his freshman talent, and that's Reed Sheppard.
50% from the field, 30% 3-point percentage, almost 6 assists per game and about 3 rebounds per game. But I think one of the biggest things, I felt like he would have good quarters rather than good games.
Yeah, that's
slow or in slow, but you've got, he made up for it on the other half.
What Reed Sheppard doesn't do on offense where DJ Wagner is picking up and these experienced players like out there like Antonio Reeves, who went out there and got the job done and killed it throughout the course of the tournament. Reed Shepherd showed that no matter what, if he's not having a good game on the offensive end, he's going to get the job done with effort and being a team player. So those are things to be very optimistic about as far as his role in this Kentucky team, especially going into the future, because he's likely not a one and done. For this Kentucky team, we're probably seeing him back in Big Blue Nation next year or after the season. He's going to be one of those players that continuously develops, and there's a lot to like about Reed Shepherd. My favorite moment, and probably one of the best highlights of the course of the tournament, was that instant defense into offense that we saw out of him, where he stole the ball or blocked a shot or something, and then ball bounces down, grabs the ball, and dunks it on the other end. It was like, wow, okay, cool. We did not know you were that quick, that defensively, savvy. We thought there was a lot more development that was going to have to take place. But Reed Shepherd showed that he's got a lot of talent. He's a very good, talented basketball player. I mean, there's a reason this kid was in the McDonald's All-American game, but I've got a lot of optimism for him over the next 2 or 3 years here in Big Blue Nation. It's definitely a good pickup by Cal, and especially, I believe he's a homegrown kid right there in Kentucky. So a lot of fans are hyped up the fact that he's playing like that and representing their state, because they bring in a lot of talent around the country. But just having somebody who's homegrown like that, fans are going to immediately flock to that and love it.
For sure. And then, we talked about a little bit about development there. I think some of that Cal development program definitely shown out in Adu Thiero. We talked about him a little bit in some previous podcasts, just the fact that he has basically looks like he ate his old self. And, he showed it. He showed that strength. He showed that determination, especially on defense. Really thought that he was filling in the gap where Oscar Tshiebwe would have been if he stayed another year at Kentucky. 7.5 points per game, over 45% from the field, and, almost 6 rebounds a game. I'm sure he'll beef those numbers up a little bit. Hopefully that's what they're going to work on. But, fantastic for a player that, to be quite honest, I didn't even know had a spot on Kentucky's team last year.
But to be honest, I think at this point, we need to be calling the Olympic, drug committee or whatever the Russians were talking about with steroids a couple again, whatever Invictus about, because this kid is straight up turned into Drago from Rocky IV. He's out there getting big, buffy. Like I'm just shocked because I'm not accusing him of anything. I don't believe that. I mean, you can go work out in the gym. He's clearly turned himself into a good basketball player. He's played well. He's shown what he's got. He's going to be a member and a force on this team with a year of experience under his belt and having to learn under Oscar Tshiebwe for the last couple of years, and Jacob Toppin and all those guys, learning from those players with years of experience. He's already got a connection with Antonio Reeves because he's played on this team with him. It's just not on the primary minutes that are happening on the floor. Gotta love it. Gotta love the development that you've seen. And we saw a lot of the good things that we wanted to see out of him in GLOBL Jam. Again, throughout the course of this tournament, do we have any really sour notes to take away from Kentucky in this? There's things to improve, but there's nothing sour. There's nothing bad. We're in a totally different place than we were 4 months ago in March. Totally different place than we were in May right now with this Kentucky team. It's a lot better. And like I said, you got to be feeling good. So, Betty, I want to ask you this question. I know that we're going to have to reassess the power rankings here very soon because, like I said, things were going to change as soon as we saw basketball on the court. When we wrote those up, I was saying I was very skeptical because Kentucky had nothing yet. They didn't have Trey Mitchell. We didn't know if Antonio Reeves were going to come back. Now we're talking about a team that could potentially be in the top 6, top 4, somewhere in the SEC, and being a team that could compete for an SEC title. So begs the question, do you think Kentucky can win an SEC title?
I think it's definitely a possibility. I think the big thing here for Cal, even though we did see them play against, say Team Canada or Team Africa, there's still, I don't want to say not the same caliber as the SEC teams, because they very well could be. I don't know a whole lot about those teams, but to me, I presented this as more of kind of one of those foreign tours that pretty much everyone takes, where, we see the team have fun. We see them kind of blow out other teams. And, hopefully there's more to it than that. But, I think we see a good solid foundation for this team to start on with the possibility of, if not winning, being in at least the top 5 of the SEC.
That's very much, you've got a much more conservative take than I have, but I think our brains are coming to a very similar conclusion. My take right now is that this freshman class is very talented and they've got some guidance with guys like Trey Mitchell and Antonio Reeves out there. My thought is that they're going to run into some teams throughout the course of this year that are going to be up there in the top 4 more than likely, or just depending, with some of the most talented teams in the SEC. Like the teams I think right now are in contention for an SEC title before preseason. And like I said, we haven't seen ball hit enough court yet to make those determinations 100%. But just based on the movement we've seen out of the transfer portal and recruiting classes, I think Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, and then we're talking about probably 1 or 2 dark horses who are going to be in the mix somewhere in there that we just haven't identified yet who they're going to be. And we'll see more of that after summer ball. But when I look at those Arkansas and Tennessee teams against Kentucky, you got Tennessee that's got a bunch of guys who have played years together. They're under Rick Barnes. They just had probably their best season one of their best seasons under Rick Barnes there in Tennessee. These young guys are going to have to go play that experienced Tennessee team at some point, and that's going to be a tough battle for the Cats to go through. And then Arkansas, they're going to have to play Arkansas twice next year. That's going to be a tough one because you also got a lot of guys who are experienced but just haven't played together. But what we've seen out of Eric Musselman in the past is he gets that team ready, with the exception of last year, so to speak. But after that little initial slump through December, that team takes off. Somewhere after the first 2 weeks of SEC play, and he really gets that team going. So I don't know how well these young guys are going to have to go into those tough environments yet, because that's another factor that we didn't see. We didn't see them play against environments at all. So it'll be interesting to see, but I definitely see them as one of the best teams in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point there, I think we saw it a lot with Arkansas last year. We just had so much raw talent that had never had to, face an environment as well as a fantastic team. I feel like a lot of those players in high school had people from all over coming to watch them, so they weren't used to having the crowd completely against you.
Yeah, it's going to be different when you go into some of these buildings and you're having to face teams that have as we talked about, some of the best student sections in the conference. When you go into those environments, those are going to be tough. So we're going to see how Kentucky plays on the road. That's a big, big question right now when they get into conference play, if they can win an SEC title. But do they have the talent to do it? Yeah, probably. They probably do have the talent if the ball bounces right in a couple of games. So I would not dismiss the fact that Kentucky could win the SEC right now. Right now, I would probably say somewhere probably 3rd or 4th, but we'll see how it plays out when we get to that point of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Just going over the kind of last point of the stats I have pulled here, thanks to On3. We're looking at a team average of just under 48% from the field, just under 38% from 3. Fantastic when it comes to a fresh team that hasn't really played together before. So I think, definitely, like you said, 3 or 4. I said 4 or 5. We'll split the difference and call them a number 4 team. I guess when we look further at those power rankings, but
we'll take a close look afterwards. But it's getting somewhere. It's getting good. It's getting entertaining. And you were exactly right on that 3-point stat, bringing that up. I think Antonio Reeves, I think he shot dang near 60% from 3 over the course of the tournament. And like I said, he played like an MVP. So if he carries that over into the season, there's no telling how far Kentucky can go this year. So a lot of optimism, a lot of curiosity as far as that goes.
For sure. What other team is probably looking a little bit more seasoned through the glasses of an optimist? So Rick Barnes in Tennessee.
Well, yeah, we know they're seasoned. But yeah, we're going to talk about like some of the injury stuff here in just a second. But first, I definitely want to tell everybody about a little brand of whiskey that I've recently discovered. Maddie, I lived in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, they say that literally everything is bigger in Texas. Well, with Old Humble Distilling and their whiskey, it's a Texas original, and it's got Texas-sized quality, and it's got Texas-sized taste, and you don't have to travel south to the Red River to get it. Old Humble has started with one goal and one goal in mind: make the best damn whiskey, period. So try it out for your next tailgate or game day party. You know, you got football season coming up. If you're an Ole Miss fan, listen to this thing, walking around with some nice Texas bourbon out there, or Texas whiskey out at the Grove might not be a bad thing. So if you try promo code Variety Sports right now, that you can save, you'll get free shipping on any bottle from their website out there, and you must be 21 to enjoy. Please drink responsibly. All right, let's talk about Tennessee, Maddie. It's the first time we've done an actual ad read, or second time. Do what?
And okay, you can't just bring up whiskey and not talk about it.
I do. Like, oh, you want to talk about the whiskey?
I was just gonna say, like, one of my favorite summer cocktails is give me a whiskey, a little bit of lemonade, and some mint in there.
Okay, I can feel that. I can feel that a little bit. That's a good little drink right there. I personally like, yeah, lemonade and whiskey go great together. I don't know. I'm more of a Jack and Coke guy personally. That's just kind of my takeaway when it comes to whiskey. But I'm a little bit more easy to please when it comes to whiskey, I guess. Just make it simple. Give me a little bit of taste of alcohol and a little bit of something sweet to go with it, and it's perfect to me. But Hemingway whiskey with a little bit of lemonade is really good catch in my opinion.
Yeah, so we'll have to try some of that at our next, I guess, get together. If it's football, basketball, one of the sports, maybe we can do a cocktail competition.
Oh, that would be
fun, and see whose is the best.
Yeah, we'll hit them up on that. Let's see what we can do. We'll talk to the big heads over there at Variety Sports and see if we can't make that work. You know, like a little bit of tailgating, and see if they want to help us out a little. You know, we can do a little cocktail tasting for them. That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a really good time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my COVID.
That's your COVID cure?
My COVID thing was I decided to become an amateur bartender. So.
Oh, okay. So like during your boredom time, you get a lot of cocktail experience. I thought you were out here like just flooding your veins out here with whiskey, trying to kill off any disease with alcohol. You know, because alcohol can clean things. So I don't. True. It's true.
It's true. But anyways, before we got off on the whiskey tangent, we were going to talk a little Zakai Zeigler and Tennessee. They're looking up for Tennessee fans. And, Rick Barnes did an interview saying he, is ahead of where he wants to be. So that, to me sounds absolutely fantastic. He did say probably near the end of fall is when we can expect to see him back on the floor. So, I remember me being super disappointed. He was probably my favorite player to watch when it came to Tennessee. I believe I compared him to AI, which was like my first love of basketball. So, I'll take it.
I get it. Yeah. We know Barnes is saying that Zakai Zeigler is dying to be out on the floor. He's just itching for it. And we know that he wants to get out there and he wants to practice right now. But it's one of those things that like, you can't rush it back. You got to let the rehab take place. There's still a little ways to go, but it is optimistic, right? Because if he's not out there, Vols are really going to miss some of his leadership. They're going to miss a lot of his defensive and passing skills that he has if he's not on the floor at the beginning of the season. But to me, Ziegler's a glue guy, and that's why you want him out there so bad. But you really don't want to rush it in any circumstances. So, like as far as the end of fall, if we're talking about him missing a couple of games during that easier part of the schedule, I think it's a great time to bring out guys like Cameron Carr out there and try to get them some additional minutes. It's a good playing times while you beat up on some of these weaker teams like Tennessee Tech and some of the bad teams that are out there in Division I that you're probably going to schedule. So it'll be interesting to see how Rick Barnes navigates this, but it's optimistic. But again, at the same time, you don't want to rush the situation just because you want to play basketball.
Yeah. I know, like you said, Zakai Zeigler seems like a glue guy. I think it's going to be just as important to have him on the bench, giving that guidance and, just being a team player from the sidelines, I think is going to be super helpful for this Tennessee team. So, the fact that they're optimistic about him playing by the time the conference gets started, at least, I think is a big thing for Tennessee.
Yeah, 100%. Getting him out. You don't have to lead a team by leading them on the floor. You can lead from the bench. There's always experienced guys who have been there, knows what coach wants, and he is always there to kind of distill that knowledge to the younger guys. And guys like Cameron Carr, like I said, are probably going to get some minutes if he's not back right at the time at the beginning of November on November 6th. When it comes game time, that's the beginning of college basketball season. If anybody's curious, I don't know yet when Tennessee's first tip off is, but coming soon to a basketball court near you is basketball season on November 6th. And that would be right around the time frame that we've been talking about Zakai Zeigler coming back as late fall, like Barnes suggested, but he can be a leader on that bench because he knows the culture. He was not a superstar coming out of high school by any means, and he developed under Rick Barnes. He's a guy who can really take these guys under his wing during his rehab time and be like, hey guys, this is the expectation. This is Tennessee. Welcome to Knoxville. This is how we get things done in this system. And this is how we're going to win an SEC title this year. He can do that. He can be that type of leader for Tennessee, I feel like.
For sure. And, I think Zakai Zeigler seemed like the guy, that would do just about anything for his teammates. So I'm sure, some of his teammates are probably feeling the pressure. Like, we don't want to put him in a terrible situation when he gets back and have to dig us out from the depths.
And playing with those minutes, you don't want to go back to the bench if you're getting minutes. So it's just all that more pressure to get out there if you're Cameron Carr or JP Australia, which when we can talk a little bit more about this in a second with the Tennessee situation. But if you're Cameron Carr, it's a great chance to get some minutes out there. And you could show everybody what Tennessee fans have been talking about, you being one of the most underrated freshmen in the country this year. So it's a good opportunity for him. It's a good idea. Good time out there for Triple J to show what he can do. Vescovy, those guys aren't going to lose minutes, but they can show that they're also leaders out there on the floor, and they can show their leadership because you can never have, well, you can have too many leaders, but you can never have too many secondary leaders or guys who could also lead in given situations. And that's how you create additional rotations, that you have always somebody in control out there on the floor. So for having Triple J and Vescovy, who've been under the system for a long time, this is a great opportunity for them to step up and show Rick Barnes that, I've been here. I know what I'm doing. Zakai's out right now. Let Zakai leave from the bench. I'll lead you on the floor here this first part of the season.
Exactly. I think Kentucky's got a very great road ahead of them this year, especially, showing last year that they do have what it takes to get to the next level, something we definitely questioned the beginning of last season. So I think, you get that big piece back and have a lot of those veteran players returning and some great talent coming on to the floor as freshmen. I see big things for Kentucky or for Tennessee coming up.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility. Yeah, you're right. One of the big storylines we talked about last year in the SEC was, can Rick Barnes get Tennessee to a Sweet 16? Can he do it again? Finally, it happened. It took him long enough to get this team where it needed to go, but he made it happen. He made this team get to the point it needed to be at. And so he's there, and I think there's a little bit of more confidence coming into basketball season in Knoxville, because it was almost apathy, in Tennessee, because like last year, even saw a lot of people who commentate on Vol Sports or beat right Vol Sports were like, what is going on with Tennessee fans? They're like, we want to see more because we're very tired of this. Last year, they got more. I think they're going to have a little bit of returned interest and optimism returning to Tennessee fans for this upcoming season. And like I said, you got so many of these guys who are on that team coming back, but like where Tennessee has now got a question mark, in my opinion, it's not Zakai Zeigler so much, because worst case, he's coming back by conference play. And I mean, absolutely worst case, he's coming back by conference play, if we're to believe the medical reports and everything. But the big concern right now is how the front court's going to operate in Tennessee, because right now you've got a situation where Chris Ledman and some of these other guys are all sitting in this, Chris Ledman just transferred out. So if you're a big man in Tennessee right now, who's going to step up? Are you going to be that guy to step up? Is it going to be a guy like JP Australia? Or is it going to be someone else who's going to step in that forward position? Because JP, we've got a lot of questions if he's got to be SEC ready, not from the talent perspective, but from a physicality perspective. So there's a lot of curiosity there about JP Australia.
Yeah, I think we see probably very similar to last year's Tennessee team, very high volume 3-point shooting team.
I think that's going to be a focus of it, absolutely, especially with a guy like Cameron Carr who can shoot. JP can also step out a little bit on that freshman side if he's expected to fill Chris Ledman's shoes with him. I say fill Chris Ledman's shoes. He didn't even get on the court. He transferred from Harvard here and then left. like all in this like significant over the course of a couple of months. He's never played for Tennessee. Like he was in this year's transfer class and just said, nope, bye, I'm going somewhere else. We don't know what's going on with that. But it's just an oddity. But we're going to see who's going to step up into those shoes and who's going to play. So yeah, like I said, a lot of curiosity as far as that goes. But yeah, I do expect Tennessee to shoot quite a bit of threes. Cameron Carr is a decent shooter. JP Estrella, who's another addition to this team, is a decent shooter. And then you still got Santiago Vescovi, who could shoot, Triple J, who can shoot. It's going to be 3-and-D in Tennessee. Like, just get ready for it. That's what I expect to happen next year as well.
I think that needs to be our title for the, like Tennessee preview episode that we do.
Tennessee preview episodes 3-and-D in Tennessee. I do like it. That just rolls off the tongue in there.
Good, David.
If anybody else is a Righteous Gemstone fan, it's like what was it? Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers. Like, yeah, 3-and-D in Tennessee. Like, that's what we're gonna roll with on that with Baby Billy's Bible. Love that show. It's so ridiculous. It's fantastic.
I haven't seen the newest season. I need to check it out.
It's so good. So good.
Well, I feel like allergies are starting to take a toll on both of us as we keep
one of those days. it is a rough day in Northwest Arkansas for sure. Yeah, we're also out of sync. I think we've all both got like a head cold going on or something from like these random storms that just came in and just smacked the entire western side of the state over the last couple of days. So it's been wild. Like, I can feel my allergies just acting up like crazy. I'm gonna go take like some Sudafed or something and clear all this out. I'll be awake for the rest of the night because that stuff gives you weird amounts of energy. But maybe a Zyrtec, maybe that way I can go to sleep tonight. Zyrtec, that's the answer. Again, it's getting that time of year. Not really, it's not that time of year yet, Maddie. But we're gonna need Flonase and we're gonna need Zyrtec as a sponsor for this show. We're absolutely gonna. Like, when we get to that time of year, we need them as sponsors for this show. Real fast before we go. First off, I want to thank Maddie so much for producing the show over the last 3 weeks. She's done a great job, I feel like. This is her first time. Unlike me, who used to do some of this professionally and produce, this is her first time producing, and I think she did a fantastic job putting it. She got a feel for how it all works and got some really good ideas.
I feel like it was the in the words of Ice Cube. Oh, geez, I almost dropped my computer. In the words of Ice Cube, my check myself before I wreck myself moment. Like, crap, David does a lot of stuff for this show. I knew you did, but like even more so.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking a lot of this time, and the viewers are going to benefit from that too, because I've been texting you and I've been showing you some of the things that we've been working on behind the scenes to get really again, if you're listening to the show here in the middle of July, you're a hardcore basketball fan, more than likely, or you need something to help you go to sleep tonight, and we're just boring enough to help you out. But as far as when it gets time for basketball season, we're going to have a flood of content for all the folks who are going to be returning in that late September into October and November timeframe, who are gearing up for basketball season, who have been in the football world this entire time at this point of the year. So very soon, Maddie's really giving me an opportunity to get a lot of that stuff written, put together. And now we're ready to start, actual production of it because, this time. So again, thank you so much for everything that you've done over the last couple of weeks. I know it wasn't easy. It's been a rough couple of days, or over the course of the last couple of months. You've produced 5 shows on your own, and just look how far you've came.
Right. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I didn't do as terrible as I thought I was going to do. So
it went really well. I'm very pleased. It went really well. Yeah.
Hey, I still have a few fun ideas up my sleeve. So if we ever need to pull those out, you just let me know.
Well, we are in the dead days of summer basketball, where we're not going to have a lot to talk about at certain points of the year. So maybe we'll pull rabbit a hat here pretty soon. But thank you so much for handling the show over these last couple of weeks. I really appreciate it.
Of course, David. As always, appreciate you and all the editing and taking over because I can't talk over my own words sometimes.
Well, to be fair, I've been bad the last couple of weeks. So, I'm sitting in this chair right now. It's just been different. But yeah,
right? It's like I don't have control over this.
like I'm not controlling things. Like this is weird. Not using that. What's going on? What do I do with my hands? As you know, the car handled real good. You know, it's like you just leave your hands by your. Yeah, no, thank you so much, and also thank you, listeners out there, so much for everything that you guys. So thank you for watching. Thank you for checking out the show. We really appreciate it. Those things that I was working on. Here's what you got to look forward to if you like and subscribe to this channel and come back and watch more of our stuff. We've got some outstanding content for you guys coming out of the way soon. We teased it a little bit last week talking about college basketball 201. I'm expecting the first recordings coming in this week from my buddy who is the voice actor that I was telling you about. Those should be coming in this week, and we will get those edited, and they will be up very, very soon. I believe you know what? I'll give some dates here because I have projected dates on everything right now. So on Wednesday, the 26th, will be the beginning of college basketball 201. And then you'll expect it. We'll have a video out every Thursday for basketball 201 after that for the next couple of weeks going into September. And then in September, on September 25th, once you get your football a little bit out of your system, you go, hey, you know what? The weather's getting cooler outside. It's getting close to basketball season. Well, we're going to start our Freshman 15 series on September 25th, and we're going to be starting with Justin Edwards. We're going to be going down the rankings of the top 15 freshmen in the SEC as told by 24/7 Sports. Working on those videos right now. Showed Maddie some of the graphics and the art that's going to be coming out. These are going to be very, very good series. We're also going to be amping up our video quality here pretty soon as well. So thank you very much. And when I mean video quality, you won't see this ever again. Hopefully next week I can use my regular computer, but that was a technical glitch. That's why I keep leaning over here this week. If you're watching the video, I'm like checking my notes on my MacBook, and I'm not on my MacBook today. But thank you guys so much for checking us out. Please like and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. We wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for you. So as always, if there's anything specific you want to see, want to hear, anything you don't want to see, want to hear, let us know. But like and subscribe, comment on those things that you would like from us, stuff you want to learn about, stuff you know, players you're interested in. Let us know. We make it for you.
Yep. Let's talk hoops. All right. Bye, everybody.
See y'all. Have a great week.